Hello, my name is Mariana, and today this is a reading for Aquarius. So Aquarius, as usual, I'm doing this reading with my own tarot deck, so the cards that you'll see are from this deck. So Aquarius, just to give you a little bit of a context, between shuffling and concentrating and meditating, I was, preparing for your reading today. I was thinking about a person that I know that they hold a lot of trauma, but it's unconscious. It's like they're not very willing to work on their trauma. It feels like they are denying it, but at the same time, they don't realize how destructive it is to those around them, right? Because this person is like, they project the trauma, right? Almost as if they are defending themselves using that, or not thinking about it, not becoming aware of that. And so I was just thinking about how this person that I know, like, when did it start? Like, are they aware that it started way before what they imagine? Because and as soon as I had that thought about like how long ago this began, this behavior, this line of thought, this way of reacting to things in the world, and so I was kind of like trying to trace back when it started, and that's when this card showed up, the Six of Cups. And so we're beginning your reading today, Aquarius, talking about it's a deeper past than you imagine, right? The first thing that I was mentioning about this person that I know, this doesn't necessarily need to apply for you. It's just the thread that took me to begin your reading today, that is talking about going way, way back. Maybe what you perceive as something significant from your memories, maybe you have like in your archive of memories, like something that is particularly significant for you, but it's not that. It's almost like go back, like go way, way back. It's deeper than you imagine. It's not, and it's almost like I'm seeing you like, not scrolling, flickering through the pages, or like the, what is the name of those things? Like the separator things, like in a case, right? Like seeing files, just scrolling, or not scrolling, flickering through the files, right? Like old memories, like you haven't gotten way back in the past. And this is what the Six of Cups is talking about, like go way, way back. So it's like it's buried in the deep, deep past. And I feel like there is a moment that you reach it, because the Six of Wands here was giving me this clearing. It was giving me like this confirmation, like, yes, that's it. That's the one. It's like, you've been searching and going way, way back, and that's exactly what you need to do, Aquarius. But it's like you're going to feel the sense of accomplishment in a sense. It has a little bit of this victory sensation that the Six of Wands carries, but it's more like just the knowingness that you have hit the mark, that you have found the document, that you have found the memory, right? Most of all, it's like this emotional memory. All of this archive, file, paperwork, document, and all that, it could just be a metaphor so that you can visualize what this is, right? Or what this process is in your mind and in your heart. So if you're flickering through the memories in your subconscious mind and you're going way back, it's like, maybe we're talking about past lives, perhaps. Maybe we're talking about like going deeper in investigating, your past lives. It doesn't necessarily need to be that. It feels pretty much this lifetime, but it feels like earlier or before you imagine. It's like there is a memory that perhaps you have forgotten because it was left, in the back of your mind, that you forgot about that. But there is the sense of, oh, finally I found it, right? It's like, yes, it's this. It's like, it's almost like immediately when I was talking about going way back to the past, where did your mind go to? Where did your heart go to? And when I was showing this card, it's like it's that thought, is that memory. Like it's a confirmation for you. Whatever you're thinking, whatever you're remembering from your deep past, yes, that's the one. That's the memory. That's the message in a sense. That's the remembrance that is going to be useful, because the Ace of Wands coming next is talking about being the beginning. That was the beginning. That was the first seed. Sometimes I see the Ace of Wands both as the grown tree, the fully grown tree, but like continuing the cycle of life. It's like, you know, part of this continuation is providing seeds, but being the seed to begin anew, to begin this new process of growth that is eventually going to lead into the seed becoming this grown tree, right? So it's showing me the seed before it became a tree, right? So this is what you're finding. This is what you're receiving confirmation and a sense of accomplishment, in a sense, for having found that memory that was lost, in a sense. It's like, is there a memory that you lost that now you're finding again? And you have this perception that it's like, that's the ignition point. That was the initial stages of something reproducing very fast. You know, the first 3 cards, the first row of 3 cards, it's all the same suit. So this is kind of like the same scenario. The difference is that you're going back to the beginning, right? It's like you're going way, way back. Maybe we're talking about going back to the womb of your mother, right? It's like we're going back through to like the moment that you decided to come to this earth again, right? And incarnate and embody a new vessel, in a sense. So maybe it could be that early on. But this is showing me the same scenario. It's like the sensation that you have once you realize that you have found this memory. It's because, you know, it's like this very instinctive knowingness because of all of the fire. It's like, you know, that that was the first seed, the first spark, the first it's kind of like I'm seeing like something cracking because of the first fire, the first flame. So, but I'm not seeing what it is that is breaking. Maybe it's your innocence, maybe is your spontaneity, maybe is your lack of responsibility or like concern in the world, right? So there is something that has been reproduced very, very quickly. The 8 of Wands. I know that the 7 of Wands has been coming up with this message lately in the readings, talking about like this fast reproduction, right? Cells in the body reproducing very, very quickly, like the division and the multiplication processes like intertwined, like a fast growth, a growth spurt. Here it's the same thing, but in a much more chaotic way, because here it's all lined up and it's almost like maybe since then it's like you haven't felt this organized, right? Or this calm, this serene, tranquil, stable. It's like maybe it's always been a very chaotic and very growing process, right? It's like always like allowing life to like push you, in a sense, right? It's like always being swept and taken, or I don't know if I'm describing this in a way that I'm receiving it. It's kind of like not having control over your own growth, in a sense, right? Or, you know, either because somebody else made the decisions, or because it was too fast, too soon, right? Or it's like what these 2 cards are talking about in a very clear distinction from this, and maybe this is the reason why you have the sense of accomplishment, because it's like how you reach this memory, it's from a very non-chaotic, right? It's a very organized way. And even like maybe the sense of overcoming the sense of chaos, right? Or even like overwhelm. It could be like the sense of overwhelm for seeing something that you haven't seen or felt something that you haven't felt in a long time. But here, you didn't have much control, maybe because you were just a seed, right? You were just a kid. You were very, very young. It's like you didn't, it's like being a baby and depending completely on your parents, right? But the thing about this seed and this chaotic, very fast growth, very turbulent, very unorganized growth is that if this was the root cause in a sense of your issue, or the thing that now you're remembering because now is significant to remember, and I want to say because there is growth, it's like there is a next level growth that you're going through, but it's like unless you organize the cells in a sense, it's like there is still, it's like they have this mark of a certain pattern that, yes, it's very explosive. That's the word that I'm hearing right now. It's like it's very explosive, so it could be again too overwhelming. And with the 10 of Swords, this is the interesting thing, because until I was seeing the first row of 3 cards, it was a very individual, private experience. I didn't see you sharing this with many people or with anyone at all, right? It's like it's a very private, intimate thing or sensation. But here with the 10 of Swords, the impression that I had is that you were not alone. And it's not that you're not alone right now. It specifically wants to go back to this memory, right? When you were the seed, when this was happening with you, you were not alone, right? It's like you had somebody there who witnessed this, right? This chaos. It's like, it's almost like they also have this imprint, and it's almost like they also struggle with a similar thing because they have lived through a similar experience. But okay, so maybe they have lived exactly the same experience, but it's like they carry the 10 of Swords as much as you. It's like now you're aware where it all began. And in remembering this, you're also remembering that you were not alone, that you had company, that it's kind of like, you know, maybe a sibling or a cousin or a friend, or, you know, somebody that was maybe as, as not raw, as fresh or as new, right? Or as young as the seed that I'm seeing. It's a very innocent, it's kind of like the Page energy, but it's the Ace, right? So that's the thing. It's not the Page, because the Page would, it's like it would be already it would have been through the journey of the 1 to the 10, right? So the Page already have some sort of experience. It's in this other realm of the court cards. The Ace, on the other hand, is coming through as everything is completely new, right? It's like very, very, very new, very, very, very fresh, right? So it's kind of like being left with a mark that really shaped how you grew. But knowing and now remembering that you are not alone, it's almost like you realize that there is a lot of benefit for you and for them, because they have, it's like they also carry this trauma, they also carry this issue, they also carry this pattern, this growing pattern that could have been very negatively influential, right? And so here with the Temperance, the interesting thing that I was seeing, obviously the sharing, right? The two of you, the both here sharing this path and sharing. And it's so interesting because it's like the wisdom that I'm seeing from the Temperance is that here you're going back, but it's almost like instinctively, perhaps without even having to talk too much back then, both of you, like both of your choices were to just like, let's just move on from this. Let's just keep on carrying forward. It's like we have each other. It's like we're together in this. It's like if we are in this together, we can cry together. The thing about the Temperance here is talking about sharing tears, right? These drops of water, these are tears specifically, I want to say, but it could be happy tears. It doesn't necessarily have to be, you know, sad tears, but tears nonetheless. So sharing tears could be something that would contribute in a sense to keep on moving forward, you and this other, but still very chaotic, right? It's almost like trying to maintain order, right? Because it's like pushing aside. You see how it's like these two arrows are trying to, you know, go through the eight arrows. So in a very restrictive lane, or in a very restrictive controlling environment. So it's like there's a lot of effort, but two people doing this together, it's almost like they're more, it's like there's a better chance of both of them like coming to the other side and making through, right? So, but this was kind of like it's like the mark that was left in the DNA of you and them. But now maybe you didn't remember that. Maybe, you know, going back deep, deep, deep into the past, it's now, it's almost like helping you to see where it all started, but also, well, feeling successful for being able to reach that memory without feeling the overwhelming sensation of the chaos. The Eight of Wands, for some reason, is representing like this chaotic growth, right? Very, it's almost like stumbling upon your feet, not having much control of your future, always being led by something unpredictable, or it's just like just not having control, right? So, but you are not alone in this, and perhaps remembering this part also, and maybe you do remember, maybe this is a person that is still part of your current life, right? Maybe you're still in contact with this person, maybe you still talk, maybe you still have like a friendship, or maybe if it's a sibling, it's like you still you're still in touch with them pretty much like frequently. But it's talking specifically, it's talking about maybe crying together over something that now you can bring again to the conversation, because it's been a while since you looked at this, or that you remember this, or that you felt this, right? Because you're feeling more successful now. It's almost like you know that you're not going to be beaten, or like you're not going to be taken, right, by this, but the sensation of overwhelm and chaos. It's like you're more organized than that. It's almost like you have learned another pattern, another way of growing that is much more successful and much more victorious. So that's the approach that now, but it's like you're going to the root cause, and because of that, it's like you're able to connect with somebody. So it's kind of like because also the Temperance talks about like, you know, being patient. It's almost like both of you had to be very, very patient, I want to say, for a long time, okay, Aquarius, because it's like it feels like a long time has passed from this beginning moment to this now moment that you can remember how both of you suffered together, and maybe you didn't even know that, you know, there was another way, that, you know, suffering didn't have to be the only option, or like, you know, just coping to barely, you know, get out of this alive in a sense, right? To survive out of this trauma, out of this chaos, out of this situation that really, it's almost like it shaped your creativity, but in a very chaotic way, right? In a very unorganized way, in a very and it's fascinating because the more I think about this, it's almost like the more chaotic it was, it's like maybe the more you exercised your patience. And that's beautiful, because it's like now you can share everything, right? Share everything, even the tears. Maybe, you know, back then you couldn't cry. Maybe you felt like you couldn't, right? Like you couldn't express, let's say it like this. It's like maybe you felt like you couldn't express what you were feeling, right? The suffering that you were feeling, the hurt, the pain, whatever, the trauma. Maybe you didn't know that you were experiencing a trauma perhaps, right? But now that you know, it's like you can do so, but from a very loving way, right? I talk about the Temperance as this higher version of the Two of Cups. So maybe, you know, it's like this soul partner. It doesn't need to be like an actual romantic partner. It doesn't need to be the traditional Two of Cups meaning, but like somebody that is your partner for life in a sense, right? Because they have been there since the beginning, and now you remember how significant that was, and how both of you can kind of like, it's like both of you have a lot to learn from each other, from the same experience. That's the thing. If this is a similar experience, it's very, very, very similar, right? And this is a romantic partner. It's almost like there are so many similarities that maybe it's like you're just in awe, right? With the amount of similarities. But I am more inclined to say that this is somebody that lived this experience with you, and they have waited maybe for you to remember, for you to bring up the subject, because you were the one who couldn't bear to face that, perhaps. So, but now that you're wanting to spill all of that, then you're not holding anything back, because you're feeling like you're capable of remembering with the Six of Cups, and you're successful in doing so. It's like that really releases a lot, right? And here, ending with the Empress, this is the beautiful thing, because if here there was something kind of like blocking your abundance, blocking your success, your sense of accomplishments, your sense, because the Empress feels very accomplished, right? It's like she has an abundance and a wealth of, you know, everything, right? In every aspect of her life. It's like she owns her life, she owns her empire. It's like her life is her empire, right? In a very prosperous way, right? But it's like, because, okay, so what I was hearing with the Empress was, I don't know if that's the right word, something with fruition. It's like a very fruit, oh my God, what is the word? Fruit. Okay, I cannot remember, because now this fruition word came through, and all I can think of is fruition, but it's not fruition. It's like, she knows how to enjoy the fruits of her labor, in a sense, right? It's like she knows that she deserves to savor all of that. So it's like she knows how to use the abundance and the wealth. So this is the result of now going through this remembrance together, this it's like this deep past memory, like reliving that experience, or at least just, you know, in this communication, in the crying together, right? It releases a lot of weight that perhaps was blocking your sense of like being able and being deserving of having all of this wealth and enjoying the wealth that perhaps you have already, but you never used. You see what I mean? Because it's almost like unconsciously, perhaps you have already internalized or incorporated a very chaotic growth. So perhaps you don't allow yourself to grow in your career, to grow in your life, to prosper in life, because you were afraid unconsciously that it would be chaotic, right? Because that was the mark that was left in you, right? In your DNA. But now that you're sharing, you have been patient enough, and you have learned how to organize and, you know, discover another route, discover a much more valuable and prosperous, like this victorious route, right? For achieving things, achieving success, that you will realize that perhaps this is not just going on for yourself. It's also something that somebody else is experiencing, like somebody that perhaps witnessed this Ace of Wands with you, right? They were there with you when it all began. So they know, it's like they understand you, right? Maybe you don't even need to talk too much. It's like you're just going to cry with each other, and that's going to be like this big release of, it's like now you can grow. Now both of you can grow out of this suffering, out of the trauma, out of the issue, out of this distorted, chaotic growth pattern, right? So Aquarius, I am going to pull more cards for you, as well as the astrological runes in the extended reading. So if you want to join me there, I'll be very, very happy to see you. You can find the link down below. If not, I'll see you next time. Okay, bye.